Pain made me more dangerous, not violent, not reckless, not scary. Dangerous in the sense that I became sharper than the world expected, stronger than anyone anticipated, more strategic than most people will ever need to be. Pain forged me into someone I never expected to become. And honestly, that person is pretty formidable. Welcome back to Painfully Real. Today we're flipping the entire narrative. Chronic pain doesn't just break you, it can forge you into a weapon you never expected to be. Let's be honest about what chronic pain takes first. It takes your mobility, your freedom, your spontaneity, your old life, your identity, your innocence about your body, your trust that things will be okay. It takes relationships, jobs, dreams, plans, the future you thought you'd have. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Pain is a thief. It steals constantly. But here's what nobody talks about. In the process of taking everything from you, pain also gives you something back, something unexpected, something powerful, fearlessness. When you've already lived through your worst nightmare, when you've already been broken down, dismissed, abandoned, and left to survive on your own, what's left to be afraid of? I used to be terrified of confrontation, terrified of disappointing people, terrified of being too much or not enough. But after years of pain, after advocating for myself in medical appointments where doctors dismissed me, after having to set boundaries with people who couldn't handle my limitations, after losing everything I thought defined me and having to rebuild from nothing, I'm not afraid anymore. Not of rejection, not of conflict, not of being alone, not of failing. Because I've already survived the worst. Everything else is just noise, mental toughness. People talk about mental toughness like it's something you build at the gym or in boot camp. But real mental toughness? It's built in chronic pain. It's built in the moments when you wake up in agony and still have to figure out how to make it through the day. When you have to push through pain that would send most people to the emergency room just to do basic tasks. When you have to smile through social interactions while your body is screaming, that's discipline, that's grit, that's mental fortitude that most people will never develop because they'll never need to. I've had to develop more discipline in managing my pain than most people develop in their entire lives. I've had to become a strategist, a planner, a tactician, just to survive daily life. Boundary strength. This is huge. Chronic pain forces you to set boundaries or die trying. You learn to say no. You learn to protect your energy. You learn to cut off people who drain you. You learn to prioritize yourself in ways that feel selfish to everyone else but are actually just survival. Before pain, I was a people pleaser. I said yes to everything. I overextended myself constantly. I put everyone else first. Pain made that impossible. And in doing so, it taught me that boundaries aren't selfish, they're essential. Now I can say no without guilt. I can walk away from toxic people without looking back. I can protect my peace without apologizing. That's power most people never learn to wield. Resilience. I hate this word sometimes because people use it to minimize suffering. You're so resilient, they say. Like that makes the pain okay. But here's the truth. Resilience isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And chronic pain is a brutal forge. Every day I survive is proof of resilience. Every flare I get through, every setback I recover from, every time I get knocked down and choose to get back up, I am resilient, not because I'm special, but because I've had to be. Hyper awareness. Pain makes you incredibly attuned to your body, your environment, and other people. I can walk into a room and immediately assess, where can I sit? What's the escape route if I need to leave? How loud is it? What's the lighting like? How long will I be expected to stay? I can read people's body language and energy in ways I never could before. I can tell when someone's lying, when someone's uncomfortable, when someone's about to dismiss me. This hyper awareness makes me strategic. It makes me prepared. It makes me sharp. Pain didn't weaken me. It sharpened me into someone who sees everything, plans for everything, and survives everything. Here's the thing that drives me insane. People see chronic pain and assume weakness. They see someone who can't do certain physical activities and think that person is fragile, limited, less capable. They have no idea. They don't know that the person they're underestimating has more discipline in their pinky finger than most people have in their entire body. They don't know that we're navigating complex medical systems, managing dozens of symptoms simultaneously, advocating for ourselves against dismissive doctors, and still managing to show up for life. They think pain equals weakness, but pain equals strength they can't even comprehend. I've had people treat me like I'm fragile, like I might break if they're too honest with me or ask too much of me. And meanwhile, I'm over here managing a level of suffering that would hospitalize them. I'm functioning on a pain level that would have them calling 911. I'm doing everything they're doing just with a 50-pound weight of pain strapped to my back at all times. And they think I'm the weak one? The level of discipline required to survive chronic pain is extraordinary. Most people will never understand it because they'll never have to develop it. We wake up in pain and still get out of bed. That's discipline. We push through flares to take care of our responsibilities. That's discipline. We manage complex medication schedules, track symptoms, schedule appointments, research treatments, and advocate for ourselves constantly. That's discipline. We do all of this while people around us are living on easy mode and still complaining about being tired. And they underestimate us? Please. Here's what I wish people understood. Chronic pain patients are some of the strongest, most disciplined, most resilient people on the planet. We're not weak. We're warriors who got underestimated. And that makes us dangerous because nobody sees us coming. Living with chronic pain turns you into a strategist whether you want to be or not. You learn to plan. Every activity requires planning. Can I do this? How much will it cost me in pain? What's my recovery time? What do I need to do before to prepare? What do I need to do after to recover? A healthy person can spontaneously decide to go to dinner. I need to plan it like a military operation. Where's the restaurant? How long is the drive? Can I sit comfortably there? What time should I go to avoid crowds? What should I eat before so I have energy? What medications do I need to take? How much rest do I need after? That level of strategic thinking becomes second nature, and it translates to everything else in life. I'm a better problem solver now because pain taught me to think 3 steps ahead always. I'm a better planner because pain taught me that spontaneity has consequences. I'm better at risk assessment because pain taught me to calculate costs before I act. You learn to anticipate. You become incredibly good at predicting outcomes based on patterns. If I do this today, I'll pay for it tomorrow. If I push through this flare, I'll be bedridden for 3 days. If I don't rest now, I'll crash later. That ability to anticipate, to see the domino effect of your choices, is a skill most people never develop, and it makes you strategic in ways that extend far beyond pain management. You know your limits. Most people don't actually know their limits. They push themselves until they crash and then they're shocked. But we know exactly where our limits are. We've mapped them, we've tested them, we live on that edge every day. And knowing your limits isn't weakness, it's power, because it means you know exactly how far you can push when it matters. You know your power. This is the flip side. When you know your limits, you also know your capacity. You know what you're capable of when you have the energy. You know what battles are worth fighting. You know when to conserve and when to unleash. That self knowledge is rare, and it makes you formidable. Most people are operating blindly, guessing at what they can handle. We know precisely, and that makes us dangerous in the best way possible. I remember the exact moment I realized pain had made me dangerous. I was in a meeting at work back when I was still working, and there was a conflict happening. People were talking in circles, avoiding the real issue, being passive aggressive, and I just cut through it. I said exactly what everyone was thinking, but nobody wanted to say. I laid out the problem, the solution, and what needed to happen next. People stared at me. Some looked shocked. Some looked relieved. One person later told me it was intimidating. And I realized pain had burned away my ability to tolerate nonsense. I didn't have energy to waste on political games or social niceties or dancing around the truth. Pain had made me direct, efficient, ruthless with my time and energy, and that made me powerful, not scary, not mean, just unshakable. I wasn't afraid to speak truth. I wasn't afraid to set boundaries. I wasn't afraid to walk away from things that weren't serving me. Pain had accidentally built a version of me that was sharper, stronger, and more strategic than I'd ever been before. And once I saw it, once I recognized that power, I started using it intentionally. I stopped apologizing for being direct. I stopped softening my boundaries. I stopped playing small to make other people comfortable because pain had already made me dangerous. I might as well own it. Here's what I've learned about being forged by chronic pain. Pain survivors navigate crises better. When something goes wrong, most people panic. They don't know what to do. They freeze or overreact. But people with chronic pain, we're used to crisis mode. We're used to problem solving under pressure. We're used to staying calm when everything's falling apart. Because that's just Tuesday for us. So when life throws a curveball, we catch it. We adapt. We handle it. That unshakable calm in the face of chaos, that's pain training. We read people faster. We've been dismissed, gaslit, lied to, and manipulated by medical professionals, insurance companies, and even loved ones. We've learned to read between the lines, to hear what people aren't saying, to spot red flags from a mile away. That makes us incredibly perceptive and incredibly hard to manipulate. We stop tolerating nonsense. This is my favorite part. We don't have energy to waste on drama, on toxic people, sick, on situations that drain us, on jobs that don't value us, on relationships that don't serve us. Pain taught us that our energy is precious, limited, not to be wasted. So we cut off nonsense at the knees. We protect our peace fiercely. We say no without guilt. And that makes us dangerous to anyone who tries to take advantage of us. We know what actually matters. Pain strips away the superficial. It shows you what's real. You stop caring about impressing people. You stop chasing things that don't fulfill you. You stop pretending to be someone you're not. You become ruthlessly authentic. And that authenticity is magnetic. People are drawn to people who know who they are and aren't apologizing for it. Pain gave me that, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So yeah, chronic pain made me dangerous. Not in a violent way, not in a reckless way. In the way that matters, I'm unbreakable, I'm strategic, I'm sharp, I'm authentic, I'm unapologetic, and you are too. Remember, pain sharpens your mind in ways most people will never understand. You're not weak. You're a weapon they never saw coming. Thanks for listening to Painfully Real. I'll see you next time.